think she's in over her head.
Normal suicide rate is of normal teenagers. And we looked at the causes of what that was happening. And a lot of it was not just violence towards those individuals, but it was bullying behavior. And what were those bullying behaviors that were contributing to that? And that's why we made this rule. Because we thought and we believe that those types of behaviors were happening on our platform and we wanted to stop it. Now, there are exceptions to this rule. We don't, and this isn't about like public figures, and there's always going to be public figures that you're going to want to talk about, and that's fine. But this is about, are you doing something with the intention of abusing and harassing a trans person on the platform, and are they viewing it that way and reporting it to us so that we take action?
So I will just state, I actually agree with the rule. From my point of view, I agree that bullying and harassing trans people is entirely wrong. I disagree with it, but
most people believe that. Right, left, indifferent. Most people don't think you should be able to bully anybody. Period. It's ridiculous to think that people on the right, left, and different think that you can bully people, like legit bully people, not just like make one joke and be kicked off something. That it would have to be like you're subverting people from being able to talk, so it goes underground. What are you gonna do now? You're gonna start a big Twitter DM groups so nobody sees it and nobody knows what the hell's going on?
just want to make sure it's clear to everybody who's listening. My point is simply that, Ben Shapiro went on a talk show and absolutely refused. And that's his shtick, and he's one of the biggest podcasts in the world. So if you have all of his millions upon millions of followers who are looking at this rule saying this goes against my view of the world, and it's literally 60 plus million in this country, you do have a rule that's ideologically bent. And it's true. You did the research. You believe this. Well, then you have Ben Shapiro, who did his research and doesn't believe it.
Yeah, and I relied on the American Association of Pediatrics and, Human Rights Council and other...
And I'm sure he has his sources, too, for when he gives his statements. The point is,
but I just wonder if they have that context. And that's where we have also failed, as well as just explaining the why behind a lot of our policy and reasons.
I would agree, and I think it's fine. You did research and you found this to be true, but we can't simply say maybe Ben Shapiro and the other conservatives who feel this way don't know. We can't. The point I'm trying to make is it's simply whether you believe it, whether you justify it or not is not the point. The point is you do have this rule. That rule is at odds with conservatives. Period.
Well, I think that you're generalizing, but I think it is really important, as Jack said, to the why behind these things. The why is to protect people from abuse and harassment on our platform.
I understand, but you essentially created a protected class if this is the case, because despite these studies and what these studies are showing, there's a gigantic suicide rate amongst trans people, period. It's a 40%. It's outrageously large. Now, whether that is because of gender dysphoria, whether it's because of the complications from sexual transition surgery, whether it's because of bullying, whether it's because of this awful feeling of being born in the wrong gender, all that is yet to be determined. Mm-hmm. The fact that they've shown that there's a large amount of trans people that are committing suicide, I don't necessarily think that makes sense in terms of people from someone's perspective, like a Ben Shapiro, saying that if you are biologically female, if you are born with a double X chromosome, you will never be XY. If he says that's a violation of your policy, and you're creating a protected class.
To be fair, yes. Targeted.
Yeah,
if it's targeted at
or targeting.
Yes, if he wants to express that opinion, he is fully entitled to express that opinion. If he's doing it in a manner that's targeted at an individual,
repeatedly,
and saying that,
okay, but what about
where the intent? And the
what's going on with Martina Navratilova right now? Martina Navratilova. Why can't I say her last name? I don't think I've ever said it. Martina Navratilova. Is it Talova or Trelova?
That doesn't sound
Anyway,
right.
epic world-class legend tennis player, right, who happens to be a lesbian, is being harassed because she says that she doesn't believe that trans women, meaning someone who is biologically male, who transitions to a female, should be able to compete in sports against biological females. This is something that I agree with. This is something I have personally experienced a tremendous amount of harassment because I stood up when there was a woman who was a trans woman who was fighting biological females in mixed martial arts fights and destroying these women. And I was saying, well, you just watch this and tell me this doesn't look crazy to you.
Go ahead.
Well, my point is, you should be able to express yourself. And if you say that you believe someone is biologically male, even though they identify as a female, that's a perspective that should be valid. I mean, this is first of all, it's biologically correct. So we have a problem in that if your standards and your policies are not biologically accurate, then you're dealing with an ideological policy. And just because, I mean, I don't want to target trans people. I don't want to harass them. I'll call anybody whatever they want. I mean, if you want to change your name to a woman's name and identify as a woman, I'm 100% cool with that. But by saying I don't think that you should be able to compete as a woman, this opens me up for harassment. And I never reported any of it. I just don't pay attention to it.
But in going into like Megan Murphy, for instance, right, you can call that target harassment if Megan Murphy, who is, for those that don't know, she's a radical feminist who refuses to use the transgender pronouns. If she's in an argument with a trans person over whether or not they should be allowed in sports or in biologically female spaces, and she refuses to use their pronoun because of her ideology, you'll ban them.
Again, it depends on the context on the platform, and it's also not banned permanently. Like, you get warnings.
Well, she was banned permanently, but let's be clear about what happened.
But she was warned
because you explained it to me. What did she actually do?
My understanding, and I don't have the tweet by tweet the way that I did for the others, but my understanding is that she was warned multiple times for misgendering an individual that she was in an argument with. And this individual is actually bringing a lawsuit against her in Canada as well. So you have an argument between two people. Again.
And you have a rule that enforces only one side of the ideology, and you've banned only one of those people.
We have a rule that attempts to address what we have perceived to be instances of abuse and harassment.
She was saying
it's your ideology.
Right, but it is an ideology, right? If she's saying a man is never a woman, if that's what she's saying, and then biologically she's correct, we obviously have a debate here. This is not a clear-cut... This is not something like you can say water is wet, this is dry. This is not like something you can prove. This is something where you have to acknowledge that there's an understanding that if someone is a trans person, we all agree to consider them a woman and to think of them as a woman, to talk to them and address them with their preferred name and their preferred pronouns. But biologically, this is not accurate. So we have a divide here. We have a divide between the conservative estimation of what's happening and then the definition that's the liberal definition of it.
I think that's right, Joe. And I think what I'm trying to say is that it's not that you can't have those viewpoints. It's that if you're taking those viewpoints and you're targeting them at a specific person in a way that reflects your intent to abuse and harass them.
What if it's in the context of the conversation? What if she's saying that I don't think that trans women should be allowed in these female spaces to make decisions for women? And then this person's arguing and she says a woman is biologically female. Well, you are never going to be a woman.
She responded with, men aren't women though. And that was her first... In the series of events, that's what got her the suspension and the warning.
That was one of many tweets that was part of providing context, and that was actually the second actually. Strike is my understanding. But
why is that a strike?
Yeah, why is that a strike?
But again, like, it's the context of I don't have all the tweets in front of me. There were like 10 or 12 tweets going back and forth, and my understanding is that in the context of all of those, she was misgendering a particular person, not that she was holding a belief or statement.
It was a public figure, though, wasn't it?
I don't know.
It was. So you're having an individual who is debating a high-profile individual in her community, and she's expressing her ideology versus hers, and you have opted to ban one of those ideologies.
And it's within the context of this conversation. Yeah. This is what is being debated, whether or not someone is in fact a woman when they were born a male.
I understand that this is controversial. I do.
Especially to a radical feminist.
I understand why people would not agree with the rule. But that being said, it is a rule on our platform. And once you're warned about the rule, to repeatedly post the same content is also going to be a violation of our rules.
Right, but the rule, this seems like a good example of an ideologically based rule. If she's saying that a man is never a woman, though, that is not, in that context, harassment. That is a very specific opinion that she has that happens to be biologically accurate. Now, I don't agree with targeting harassment on anybody, and I targeted harassment on trans people or straight people or whatever. I don't agree with it. I don't think you should do it. It's not something I want to do. But in this context, what she's saying is not just her expression, but it's accurate.
I think an important point is, if I tweeted to you, Joe, you are not a hamster, that's clearly not a violation of the rules. However, if I
identify as a hamster.
Well, no, it wouldn't be clear, because I know people who have specifically begun using insults of animals to avoid getting kicked off the platform for breaking the rules. Certain individuals who have been suspended now use certain small woodland creatures in place of slurs, so they're not really insulting you, and it's fine. But there are people who consider themselves trans species. Now, I'm not trying to belittle the trans community by no means. I'm just trying to point out that you have a specific rule for one set of people, and there are people who have general body dysphoria. You don't have rules on that. There are people who have actually amputated their own arms. You don't have rules on that. You have a very specific rule set. And more importantly, in the context of a targeted conversation, I can say a whole bunch of things that would never be considered a rule break, but that one is, which is ideologically driven.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback. I mean, we're again always learning and trying to understand different people's perspectives. And all I'll say is that our intent is not to police ideology. Our intent is to police behaviors that we view as abusive and harassment. And I hear your point of view, and it's something that I'll definitely discuss with my team.
And even in this case, it wasn't just going against this particular rule, but also things that were more ban evasive as well, including taking a screenshot of the original tweet, reposting it, which is against our terms of service.
Well, that sounds like
so it's more protest. The actions.
It sounded like a protest against your rule. But I understand you can ban them for it.
But people can protest any of our rules. We can't like let them do that.
No.
They can protest
agree.
any of them.
I'm not
disagreeing.
I understand what you're saying, but I just want to make sure I point out she was clearly doing it as an effort to push back on what she viewed as an ideologically driven rule.
Well, the problem is this is a real debate in the LGBT community. This is a debate where there's a division, and there's a division between people that think that trans women are invading biological female spaces and making decisions that cisgender, whatever you want to call it. This is an actual debate. It's a debate amongst people. I mean, it's a debate amongst liberals. The vast majority of people in the LGBTQ community are, in fact, on the left. This is one example of that. So you have a protected class that's having an argument with a woman who feels like there's an ideological to this conversation that is not accurate but not fair. And she feels like it's not fair. The same
I'll take this to a logical conclusion. I got sent a screenshot. Twitter responded with individual using a cartoon avatar with the family, apparently Sam, reported it and said that I'm transgender and he's calling me dude, and the Twitter user actually got a suspension for it. So I can understand mistakes happen, but when you
like I asked you guys, but I included you.
And I wasn't offended.
Thank you.
And I wouldn't have reported you for it. You can't discriminate against white men. You can't discriminate against black men.
What about Germans? What about Jews? What about Irishmen? What about... Y'all classify white people as white. There's no difference. I don't know when people started doing this, and actually there's been a couple of videos trying to... It's supposed to be like an inclusive, but y'all have It's made it become racist. Because not every white person is the same. Not every black person's the same. It's crazy. Like I'm German Italian. Now you can say Nazi or Guinea. But it's nuts. My skin complexion shouldn't be just because I am a whiter or a this is retarded. This is why I don't talk about this crap, because me being a little YouTuber, it's not worth it. Talk about. Oh, that's making fun of white people is just mocking, not harassment. You just said that. But that is racist. Racist is punching down when people, that's what people think it is. On Twitter, protecting people, certain people, makes it so that anybody else that's excluded from that, those protected classes, makes it so that you are giving the okay to harass those other people for their physical traits that no one can change. Well, I mean, Sammy Sosa can. But most people, like a lot of people down in Latin America, South America, they do that. It's a lot more common than people know about up here in the United States or North America. A lot of people bleach their skin because it shows a higher class down there for some reason. And like Sammy Sosa, that's just cream that he started putting on while he was playing. And then I think it became like a addiction, like OCD type stuff. But that's very common in Latin America and South America. I forgot where it is. I think it's Argentina. Let me check. No, I put belching. There we go. Look, this is real. Oh, my face is white. See, people can make fun of that. No problem. Scientists find a new way to tan or lighten skin. Scientists have uncovered how human skin cells control pigmentation, a discovery that could lead to safer ways to tan or lighten the skin. Researchers found that skin color can be regulated by estrogen and progressive. I've never heard of that. Two of the main female sex hormones, estrogen and darkening the skin, lightens the skin. Although this much was known to a limited degree, the new research revealed two cellular receptors that appear to control this process in skin cells called melanocytes? I don't know. But the researchers also identified two molecules similar to estrogen and progesterone that could activate these receptors to induce tanning and lightening, and respectively, without triggering any other bodily changes normally associated with these sex hormones. Creams containing these molecules may someday help people who have medical conditions causing uneven skin, like what Rogan has on his hand. Is what, who else has it? Forgot who else. I think Michael Jackson had it. Where like it just starts lightening. You find it a lot with it's more noticeable, like there's a model that has it like all over her body. Let's see. This research is based on a phenomenon that has observed for millennia. The woman's skin tends to change color during pregnancy. A Greek physician who lived 2,400 years ago noticed the blotchy spot that can appear on a pregnant woman's body and thought incorrectly that the spots were related to the gender of the child. So there's a little bit of it about it. I guess I should put South America. Oh, it's African. This one's an African. Let's see. Skin bleaching treatments are a global phenomenon that are popular in the Caribbean, South America, Asia, and the Middle East, several African countries, but there is a dark side to these lightening products. They are extremely popular with young African women. Among African countries, lightening products are most popular in Nigeria. According to the report, over 75% of Nigerian women use them. Following Nigerian is Togo with 59%, South Africa with 35%, and Mali with 25%. The global concept of beauty in the 21st century tends to dominate the Eurocentric standards, which include having a fair complexion. In the context, skin lightening products are appealing and has become a very profitable business. This is crazy. Except who you are, people. It's a multi-billion-dollar market in Africa. Just in Africa. With Nigerian taking the largest chunk. It is profitable business for the manufacturers, importers, and marketers. Demand is inelastic and with an abnormally demand curve, meaning that no matter the price, demand will continue to be steady. Skin bleaching is a growing phenomenon around the world and becomes a bigger business. And it's becoming a bigger business, she said. Now it's a multi-billion-dollar business, and all the biggest cosmetic companies sell products that are supposed to lighten your skin. I don't even know where that is. Was concerned that the side effects of whitening creams could impact people's long-term health. The ban includes any creams containing mercury, cortisone, vitamin A, and more than 2 hydro, I have no clue what that is, a lightening agent used to develop photos. Holy crap. Cosmetic lightening and hygiene creams that depigment the skin are now forbidden. The ministry said in a statement, many people suffering, The ministry in a statement, many people suffering side effects because of the lightening creams. They can also cause hypertension, thinning of skin infections, stretch marks, skin cancer. In our culture, some people think women with lighter skin are most beautiful. This beauty standard pushes many girls to depigment their skin. What was that? Oh. Where did I have that? See? Yeah, I get my little 90 kid off of there. People are ignoring the dangers of using these creams. The product that helps develop film, photos, whatever this is called right here, were made illegal in the 1980s. South Africa has some of the strictest laws against skin lightening. The words bleach, lightening, or whitening are not allowed to be used in cosmetic advertisements. Nonetheless, the industry is still thriving on in the streets. A study conducted by the University of Cape Town concluded that over a third of women in South Africa, use the products. Oh man. This makes South African the 6th highest consumer of skin bleaching in the world. So the desire for these products is based on wrong belief that lighter women are more attractive. Get this off my damn page. If you are reading this blog about colorism, you already have prior knowledge on the subject. Chances are that you don't agree with the title of this piece. This may be because Latin America preference, or more specifically, the preference of I got the hiccups and indigestion right now. Not two good things to have while you're trying to read out loud. Let's see. Where'd I stop? More specifically, the preference in Mexico and Brazil to talk more freely about a person's skin color as opposed to race may seem like a contradiction to you. Why I suppose it is because many believe that skin color or other characteristics that were attached to race in order to be able to identify and categorize people are indicators of race. It is the idea that I believe is incorrect, which leads me to believe that when Mexicans or Brazilians talk about skin color, they are not talking about race as an American might see it. In this context, I believe that color talk in Mexico and Brazil is not equivalent of race talk in America. There it is. They had no prior editing problems. Jesus, I can't talk. Am I retarded? Oh, that probably just got me struck. Alex Jones and Joe Rogan, the best damn podcast. I forgot that I was even hotboxing with Mike Tyson and Joey Diaz. Holy shit. I am gonna have to watch this. Come on, computer.